niet zo aan met een bril. Dat dacht ik. Ja, dat is cool.
We also work, we also do consulting, we also do the design, we make new web experiences. And of course, we're in the open source business, everything has to be open source. We also do open collaboration, and we try to do it in a sustainable manner, which is important to us. I did an Agile course some time ago, and in the Agile course, they told me, I think it's one of the principles, even simplicity is maximizing the amount of work not done. So if you can eliminate all the extra craft, you're doing the essential and focus on the essential, then you're doing the important work. And today, we're going to eliminate as much of the extra code that we don't need by doing as less as possible, or
Little.
like that. And now on to the live demo.
Yes. So, we'll start off with a client question. The client says, I created a web form, and I have some questions. First things, can you link the submissions to our marketing automation platform? Fair enough, we can do that. How much would this cost? I could estimate that. Would it be possible to link it to my custom fields in the marketing tool? Well, I would need to know what the fields are, but okay. And is there something I can use in future web forms too? Sure, we could do that. And then the last sentence, could you let me know as soon as possible, because we plan to go live tomorrow. I see you all laughing. I know this is very unrealistic. No client ever has asked that, especially not the deadline part. I know. It's fine. Anyway, let's do some live demo. To prepare, I created this n8n flow. We'll talk about it later, how it works and how to set it up. But we basically have a webhook, then we have a function, and then here we have our marketing automation tool, which is Mautic in this case. So basically, how does this work? You can just click and draw and add stuff to this workflow by just clicking and selecting some of the nodes here and then connecting them to each other. What I'll do is I'll execute this workflow, and then I'll open this one and copy this URL, which is a post URL. And I also prepared this form. And if you go back to the settings and add a handler to it, I'm sure you should also all be developers or aspiring developers. So I'm sure you all know this. You can just add a handler to a web form. We'll call it, it already has a name, remote posts. That's okay. We'll save it, and that's about it. That's the only configuring stuff we'll do in Drupal. We'll go back here and just fill in the form. Not very good at typing. I'll add some text here. I will just submit the form, and if all goes well, given that this is a demo, it could go wrong. But it looks okay, it says my workflow was executed. So let's go into this function, see what it did. It's just some very simple JavaScript. I think that's on the... what we did is we created like a very, very simple JavaScript where we added some text to the already existing text, and then we send it over to our marketing automation tool. And as you can see, I already prepared this by authenticating what with Mautic, but the important part here is the client question was to ask, was to fill in some fields. Oh, sorry.
Good. Let me take your email address.
We actually have 3 prizes, so 2 more people can. It was too easy. Our job was. We should have made it harder. Anyway, what we can do here, so we're basically adding a field.
Stand up in your bingo, please, so it's obvious. Second prize. The third one. Aye, aye, aye. So third and last prize. Very sorry.
All right. Now the focus is back. All right. It was very useful for our presentation. No, seriously. So what I can do here is just click open the data that I have received. It's a JSON. That's what Web Forms does by default, and I can just click here and just put it like this. I have added it twice now, but you'll see it even shows the email address that I put in there. I could do it for all the other fields as well, or maybe a combination of things and just send it that way to our marketing automation tool. I'll close it up. Like I said, this is we use Mautic because that's the marketing automation we use at Dropsolid, but we have plenty of others. We'll show a list of all the other nodes that are in there, but it's fairly easy to do these kind of things. So no code at all, just configuring some stuff. If we go back to our slides, our client has sent a second email because that's what clients do, obviously. Oh yes, we have this cool company logo lamp. At the office, could you make this blink whenever the form is submitted? What would this cost? Again.
By tomorrow.
Yeah, this afternoon, while we are at the conference. But anyway, normally we actually have a lamp here, but we couldn't bring it, and we couldn't get it on the Wi-Fi. So instead, we put it on Twitter. So I added a second link here. Normally, if we open it, it should be there. So right there, that's what I did. I submitted the form. It added the extra text, like you could see. It was some basic JavaScript, and then I went to Twitter. So instead of the lamp, we went for the Twitter way in this case. But it could be basically anything you connect to it. Some other cool things would be to put your site in maintenance mode when the temperature rises. I'm not much of a surfer, but my colleague is, so he built that. Let's have a look at it. Yep, that's one. Yeah, it's okay.
It's the bottom one.
It's the bottom one. I can, whoa, not too much. Why is this one? So get the weather from Open Weather Map. Add some basic, like if it's below 20, if it's above 20, stuff like that. And then we'll do an if statement, and we'll just at the end we'll do a post request to the site with this basic stuff in it, and then it will disable the website. You don't really have to do this, just an example. It's here as well, obviously. This is the slide I normally show when explaining my lamp thing. So it uses a Shelly device, which is a sort of an IoT device that you can also send posts call or REST calls to. Actually, you can do it over the internet or locally, and then it turns the relay on and off. We actually have this at the office. It basically turns our office lights on and off when it's how does it work again? Oh yeah, if it's a weekday.
Let's go through it from left to right.
Yeah,
So the cron triggers every minute, and then if it's a weekday, true, it will go to the top flow. And then if it's office hours, if it's true, then it will turn the light on. But if it's not office hours, it will turn the light off. So this means that 9 o'clock in the morning the lamp goes on, and at like I think it's 4:30 or 5 o'clock the light goes off again. And then if it's not a weekday, this is something that I like because just to see who was in the office. If it's office hours, turn it off. And if it's not office, if it's office hours, it will turn it on, wait for a second, and turn it off. So this is going to go every minute. It's going to turn the light on and off. And so when you look at the office from outside in the weekend, you will see the light blinking. How cool is that? And if it's not office hours, just at night, it will be off. So yeah.
All right. This
Yes.
part
So
is for you.
why is this cool? Because you see this in companies more and more. There used to be companies with a very big monolithical architecture, but more and more companies are going to composable architectures, which means dedicated pieces for a dedicated functionality or thing. So this is something that you see more and more, and these pieces need to be connected with all the other pieces in the company. So this is something that's more and more in every company present. It's just a trend. And tools like Nodemation and n8n are the glue between those, where you can like connect all these components to each other. They also call this an enterprise integration hub, cloud integration platform, digital integration thing. So this is all words for the same glue between components in a company. The motto of n8n is connect with clicks, not with code. So more into detail.
Yep.
Yes.
So we went with a couple of players. First player here is a Drupal. As this is a Drupal conference, that seems a logical way to start. We can just do a web form handler. I showed that in the demo. You already know this, but this is the same screenshot for that. But there is also something that exists. It's called webhooks. It's a contrib module, and you could basically just install it, and it will send out webhooks. You can just configure them for any amount of or any sort of event that is happening. There's already quite a lot there. Obviously, you cannot read this, but no, there's a lot of stuff there, like creating a user, or when a new comment is created, or a new entity or taxonomy term. You could just plug in all of those, and then you could do the filtering in Drupal, or you could do the filtering in the workflow, where you just add a function and then say like, if the term is this, then continue. If not, you can stop here. Something like that. You could also obviously write some custom code to do a request to Nodemation, but you could also use the webhook hook. It's a difficult one, the webhook hook, to extend it. The code is fairly easy. Just custom function to call a custom event to it. Last point is the other way around. You could also build in Drupal an endpoint where you would go from n8n to Drupal, but that would just be an endpoint like any other endpoint you have already probably built, like receiving a post request. This one is just to put something in the watchdog, but you could do basically anything you want, or use existing modules like the JSON API to, for example, create a node or something else. Second player, in this case, we used Motic. If you remember the slide from Frederick in the beginning, that's our marketing automation platform. Same thing, we have webhooks. So basically, we could turn on our light if somebody opens an email. That will probably keep the light on quite a lot. Something like that, fairly easy to configure. Just copy the URL in here, and you're done. So our third player is basically n8n, again. So, like Frederick already explains, this is not a new piece of software or a new concept. It has been in existence for quite some time, but it was more for the things like if this then that, or MuleSoft or Zapier. I'm sure some of these things you have already seen. Also, there's a mistake in this one. Can anyone see it? There's a typo in here. Oh, no. It says, if this, then that, and it should be 3 T's. But that's fine. It's also open source. It's important for Dropsolid to use open source tools, so this one is definitely open source. It's also very easy to set up. You can just spin up a Docker image for this, and I think that's the easiest way for you to get started, is just get a Docker image. I'm not saying that's the way to host it in a development, in a production, but for development, this would definitely work. And it's also supported by a German company, and they also have a hosted solution. So if you don't want to do the hosting yourself, you could host it there.
Small remark there, they recently changed the license model, so you cannot invoice clients for hosting it for them. So there is some caveats there.
Okay, didn't know that. So as you can see, it's well maintained. They do frequent updates, so that's cool. And before you know it, you have your empty mic workflow and can get started. And after that, you'll probably create an infinite loop and create a webhook and turn and break down your web server because it keeps sending stuff to each other. No experience with that at all. All right, and the last part is something about custom n8n.
It wouldn't be cool if we wouldn't try to break it all. So that's why I was instructed with the mission to create a custom n8n node. And as player 4 is OData, which is, according to themselves, the best way to do REST. We tried to create a nodemation node with OData in there. What is OData? OData is like REST, only it's used by the very big enterprises in this world. SAP, Oracle, Microsoft Dynamics, they are using this extensively. So, and how can you use it? I just put it in there for your information, but you can also find this online very easily. It's just REST, actually. Querying data. So, the idea was how to create a custom node. If you add your own node, then you can start connecting it with whatever flow that you have in there, which is really cool. So I have some code about it. Yeah, I thought it was in the presentation. I'm sorry for that. Let's quickly take that. A custom n8n node looks like this. It's very simple. So you have your conference presentation without code isn't real, so this is it. So there's a JSON where you define your thing, where you say, okay, documentation, information, Apache Unomi. So this is a Apache Unomi node, and there's some TypeScript here where you can define where the logo is, description, credentialing. So there's multiple ways of doing credentials in n8n, and so you can connect your custom node to all these types of credentials. Then there's here methods that you can allow it to do, the base URL to connect to, and then you have your executions, which will allow you, the moment your node is executed, to write whatever JavaScript code that you want. So this gives you the parameters from the other nodes as input, and you pass your data as parameters to the output, so it's not like extremely complicated, and then you can do actually whatever you want with this. So yeah, that's pretty cool, I think. Let's continue. So There are some other cool workflows that we experimented with. I don't know if it's for me or for you. I think it's for you.
Is it for me? All right. I'll go for it then. Cool workflows, yeah. This is the first one where we check the RSS feeds of the Drupal public announcements and Drupal security notes, and then post them to our Slack, as you can see on the top. It just gives us a notice like there's a new security update. Another one, I think this one is for you. I don't remember what this one is.
So the moment users created in Drupal, there's also a contact being created in Mautic, and you could also create a person in, for example, a CRM system. So this would allow you to link external systems to your Drupal.
Yeah.
Without writing custom integrations, of course.
Yeah. There's also some other cool things we could do. We could write some stuff, or not write some stuff, configure some stuff to go from Gmail to Drupal, Drupal to Gmail, BigQuery to Drupal, even more stuff, Reddit to Drupal to Slack to email. I mean, everything is possible. You can create as big of a workflow as you want. And here's the list of all the things. I think this list was made in June last year, of all the things that is already integrated.
These are external systems that already have a node plugin into n8n. So you will see, of course, you saw it already. There's RabbitMQ, there's SMTP, like all these basic things. There's also the basic webhook. There's Slack, there's Mautic, there's all kinds of integrations, calendar stuff. Mm-hmm. If you can think of it, it's probably already like in some way in there already.
Yeah. You can see the green ones as well. Those are like more functions, like a cron or an if over merge. There are a couple of them in there. Switch is also in there. So you could do basically code in this as well, but that's not really the point. So take it away.
Yes. So I think the best code is to not have the code. If you don't have to write an integration, and then you can solve it by like an integration flow where you don't have to write the code. Yeah, it's less code to support, so it's less bugs to introduce to the client, and it will give them more flexibility afterwards to integrate all this. So I think that's a very nice idea to play with. I'm not saying you don't have to write any integrations at all anymore, but at least have the reflex to think about it. Maybe there's another way we can solve this problem than writing just another integration in your custom thing. So.
Yes, we also have to thank the sponsors of this event, which is Calibrate and also Dropsolid. Special thanks to Dropsolid because they allow us to do all these crazy things with labs in the office. We also have some more sponsors, I believe. I don't know if we need to mention them all. And this is the last part.
Oh yes, and please do connect to our LinkedIn. Or you can also send me a mail on frederik.wouters@dropsolid.com, but maybe it's easier to connect via LinkedIn. And then I think now we have time for questions.
Yes. Throw you can throw it.
Hello, test. Yeah, a question I have is, how do we keep this organized? And how do we keep this versionable? Should I throw it back?
That's okay. Yeah. So, good question. What is cool about this thing is the workflows that you see in n8n are exportable, so you can download them, and it's just JSON files. This way, you could do it, like manually download them, put them in some version control system, and have a versioning on them, but if I'm not mistaken, you can also even do it on the server, have them versioned from there. So that would allow you to even push them from one environment to another one. So that's, I think, the answer to your question, right?
Yeah, that's it. I was thinking, how do you, because if you have like a new feature with a feature branch, and you need to keep it some way connected to the working flow.
You could also do it, manage them with tags. Here you see I was experimenting also with some tags, so you could also do it. And I think I put multiple flows here together, but it's really a bad idea. So don't do that, because it's one flow. When it fails, everything will fail in this thing. So this is a very bad idea, bad example. But have one flow per thing, and then you can just duplicate the flow if you're trying with something new, and you can activate it for a specific environment, because it will be a different production environment, so it can connect to a staging environment and like that. So I think that's an answer to your question.
Right, thank you.
There's one more thing you could do. You could also write a workflow to export it to JSON and then commit it to a Git repository. But yeah, that's kind of the meta stuff.
More questions?
Okay. So I'm more familiar with Node-RED, but I didn't know about n8n like at all. So I don't know if you could give us a little comparison between the two.
Yeah, I personally also had more experience with Node-RED before, but I used it as in a way to manage my house and to do home automation stuff and I think that's the main difference. Node-RED is much more focused on that part, on doing automations, like for home automation and stuff, and this one is more focused on integrating between CRM stuff and things like that.
Okay, so there are more components for integrating with external services and all that. Okay.
Yeah. I think this one is just a bit more focused on the enterprise part, where Node-RED is more focused on the home automation, but they work exactly the same. It's the exact same concept.
Okay, thanks. Maybe some other people have some questions, or okay.
More questions? More questions? Maybe, Wesley, we can quickly go through the list of plugins just to illustrate.
Oh yeah, sure. Which one would you take?
Yeah, it's a long list.
I mean, this is storage, so you have all your like Google Drive. I don't know. Microsoft Excel could also work. That creates an Excel file. Development stuff. Which one is interesting? Facebook Graph API, probably. Yeah. GitHub.
Or GitLab, maybe?
GitLab. Well, GitLab is more important for us. Yeah, well, that's the example where you could just export your flows to and commit them to. Maybe you want to do some more?
No, it's okay. No, I think we shouldn't go too much into detail, but you see there's a huge list of plugins, and if you want to experiment with it, it's fairly easy to connect it. It's just an interface where you can enter credentials and it will connect to it actually quite seamless, so that's that. I think we should end here because it's also 15 minutes before the end, and then you still have some time for coffee or some sweet, and then we have time to go manage our prize for our bingo winner. So I think we're going to end it here. Thank you so much for attending our session, and please do connect at the Solid booth in the main area. Also, what's quite interesting is after this session, there is a presentation about Elasticsearch Integration, which is really good. I also personally work with it, but it's not fairly known in the Drupal community. Jeroen from Segeka is going to present it, and it's a really powerful thing. So if you're interested in that, just stay here, connect with each other a little bit, and there's a very good session coming up. Thank you very much.